Hi, JD here from the Institute of WOW, and the reason I'm doing this Facebook live stream is because last night I held, it would have been about a 90-minute Facebook live stream, and it was a presentation of how to attract avalanche leads for your business, whether you're online or offline. And the response to it was fantastic. We had about 139 people, presumably most of them would have owned or managed businesses. And it must have been reasonably engaging. We had most of those people still there after an hour, which is good, so that was a pat on the back. But a couple of the things that came out of that Facebook Live last night that we ended up getting good commentary on was one of them, just business owners understanding the absolute need to collect data. Now, the name of this particular Facebook Live, I think I put on there, How to Beat Amazon by Collecting Data. And I guess I'm saying play them at their own game. It doesn't matter what business you're in. If you've got a website and a homepage that does not collect data, then yeah, you're being a little bit silly. You're missing out on great opportunities. The reason I could fill my Facebook Live broadcast last night with about 140 people was that we have been collecting data. We've been collecting data for quite some time at theinstituteofwow.com. So if you want to look me up, it's theinstituteofwow.com. We specialise in helping businesses with direct response marketing and what we call avalanche leads. And last night during the presentation, we were able to start with a pretty good number of people, 139 people, because we were able to send out to our data via email and via mobile. Now, email, let's just touch on that in terms of collecting data. If you're in a game whereby you are creating email funnels and you might be using Infusionsoft, some people call it Confusionsoft, and you might be using ClickFunnels and things like that, that's fantastic. But you would know that despite the sophistication of those email funnels, email open rates are going that way. They're not going that way. And so therefore you better start looking for other ways to communicate to people. Because if your email open rate on a list of 10,000 potential customers is 10%, then you're only getting 10% of those emails that you send out open. And we had, I guess back in the day, a few years ago, if I was sending out to my list, which is about 20,000 people, I was getting a 34, 35, 36% open rate, and I felt pretty good about that because, well, that's a third of the emails being opened. These days, if we get a 14, 15, 16, 17% open rate, then we're pretty happy. It's not because they hate me or we're spamming them regularly. It's not like that. We don't annoy people that often. It's just purely and simply because the pace of life is that when you go to your inbox, apparently the average just for anyone, I'm in the marketing game, so therefore I get a bucket load of spammy sort of things coming in. But just for the ordinary person, they get about 140 emails a day, and a lot of that is spam. So you've got to look for ways to get to people outside of email. This is one. Facebook Live is fantastic, and the great thing about Facebook Live, if you feel comfortable in front of the camera like this, then guess what? You can then basically through analytics that Facebook can let you get into, determine how many people watched, let's say, half of your video. And if they watched half of your video, that means that they sort of like you. They might not really like you, but they sort of like you. And then you can actually retarget those people with your ads. So therefore you're looking at warm prospects. So say, for example, if you're watching this right now, I'm not sure how many minutes we're in, but if I go for another 5 minutes and then we actually, through analytics, determine that you've watched about 50% of what I've got to say, then you would fall into the potential warm prospect. And then what we would do is retarget you with paid advertising. That's pay-per-click advertising. By the way, the thing is that when you are doing Facebook Lives like this, we know you're not doing them because you're Mother Teresa, you're not doing them to save the world, you're doing them to make money. I'm doing this because there's a chance that people will be watching this and they might think, okay, this guy's got half a clue, we might be interested in doing more with him. And if you are, then of course you can then go and watch my 1-hour webinar at wowmysales.com. Okay, so therefore if I was smarter than what I am, I would type that onto the screen at the moment, but I've got my hands away from the keyboard, okay, that's our sense of my keyboard. And so if you want to have a look at an hour webinar on this client attraction system that I've got, and it's direct response marketing on steroids, he says very boastfully, just go to wowmysales.com and you'll see it's about an hour or so of me rabbiting on about this magic formula of attracting clients, or prospects I should say, you've got to turn them into clients, but attracting warm prospects to your website, to your landing page, or to your bricks and mortar store. And the reason I put on this particular posting, how to beat Amazon at their own game, in other words, collecting data, is that's what you've got to do. The only reason I could fill 139 people at that Facebook Live presentation I gave last night, if you want to watch that, by the way, just go to the Institute of Wow Facebook page. It's there. Silly Billy me, but I'm embarrassed to say this, but silly Billy me, we had a 20-minute countdown. So if people came on 10 minutes beforehand, it basically says, 19 minutes, not 59, 58, 50. So if you do go to the Institute of Wow Facebook page, you'll have to forgive me for being a dickhead, where I've actually got a 20-minute countdown. We won't be doing that again. So therefore, if you do want to watch last night's Facebook Live, which went for an hour and a bit, just fast forward the recording 20 minutes, because that's where I start. But you won't have to sit there and go, okay, 19 minutes, 18 minutes. You won't have to do that, all right? Just fast forward to the 20-minute mark. Yes, I won the Dickhead of the Week award, okay? But look, back to collecting data. If you don't have a data collection on your homepage of your website, just get one, okay? So give away a free report, or give them the chance to win something if they actually click and provide you with their contact details. So the whole idea is, and even last night in my presentation, and you'll see it if you go to wowmysales.com. There's no AU, by the way, because we're a massive international conglomerate, so it's only .com. But if you go to I'm making sure I've got that right. God, I've screwed that up. I'm just looking at my computer here. Yeah, wowmysales.com. If you go there, then you'll see this 60-minute presentation that has included what I call my two-step Facebook ad sell. And a lot of people are using Facebook very silly because they're expecting this to one-step sell. They're advertising a pair of Nike shoes for $99 and they expect that people are going to buy it. That ain't going to happen on social media. On social media, you've got to do what I'm doing here, right? Not to say that I invented this, by the way. I'm just saying that I'm actually following it. Number one, you've got to give great content, okay, good value. Number two, you've got to build rapport. I don't know whether I'm doing that yet. You can type below, JD, good work. That would give my ego a bit of a boost. Maybe I'm actually not building good rapport. But number three, then you make offers. And you'll notice throughout this, I've already given a URL or two about 3 or 4 times. That's what you need to be doing on Facebook Live. And by the way, can I ask, if you're watching this and you are looking for more leads, type in more leads below in the content, in the comments. And if you're looking for, what would I say? Branding, better branding, type in better branding. And the reason I say that is because we might send you a link for a free tutorial on that, okay? But I'm very interested. Are you looking for better branding, or are you looking for more leads? And that'll be interesting. Type below. And type below if you think this is actually good content too. Speaking of data, the idea of collecting it, of course, is to get the contact details so you can get back to them. But you know what you've got to get these days? Not so much their email. I'm not saying don't get it. You've got to get their mobile number. Because the point is that whilst email open rates might be sitting at about 10, 11, 12% for a relatively cold list, guess what? SMSs have an average 94% open rate within 3 minutes. 94% open rate. So ask yourself, which would you rather use as a communication tool? And I know you're saying, oh, JD, by the way, if I refer to myself in the third person, JD, it's because my name is John Dwyer, okay, but I get JD. I get quite a few other names as well, but JD. If you were to send out an SMS message, there's a pretty good chance that you will fall into that 94% open rate within 3 minutes, okay? But of course, you've got to collect that SMS, that phone number in the first place. And let me tell you how someone is doing it who's on our client list, or was on our client list. He's making enough money now that he can do it himself. It's a seafood restaurant, very upmarket seafood restaurant here in Australia. And he was, depending upon what weeknight it was, he was running at about 40-50% occupancy. Has 180 seats in the restaurant. And I said to him, well, what are you spending your advertising money on? He said, oh, well, the big newspaper, the city newspaper, happened to be in Melbourne, and we're on radio and all sorts of, I guess, waste of dollars advertising platforms. And I said to him, how much are you spending? It was about $500,000 a year. I said, I think he came onto my private coaching program, and that's a few $1,000s a month. So therefore, I was absolutely determined to make sure that he made sufficient savings on his advertising in the first month with me that would pay for the whole year's coaching. So the whole year's coaching, $3,000, it was 299 something, but $3,000 a month multiplied by 12, 36 grand. And we did that in the space of about 2 or 3 weeks, because what we did is that we stopped all of that $500,000 advertising on radio and newspaper and all that silly stuff, and we incentivized his waitresses and waiters with 50 cents for every name and contact detail that they got. And all they did was that they just handed out a little name and contact detail entry form to win a dinner for 6 at the end of the month. And it might have looked around about that size. I've got a napkin here. Okay, so therefore it'd be about that size, about the size of the palm of your hand. And everyone around the table, when she was handing the bill, just basically got one of these little bits of paper to say you could win a dinner for you and 6 of your friends, and it'll be drawn at the end of each month. Just fill in your name, your email, and your mobile number. Now, guess what? He is now the only restaurant in the world that is absolutely jam-packed every single night, 364 nights a year. And it would be 365, but he's not open on Christmas Day. And it's easy. All that happens now is he's collected all of that data, and I've been there. I've actually been in his office, which is on the top of the restaurant, and he'll call his long-suffering PA in, and her name's Cheryl, and he goes, Cheryl, and she'd come in. He said, get your tablet out. Tell me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon how many seats of our 180 seats are booked tonight for the restaurant. And she scrolls through and says, oh, look, 74. He says, well, in that case, we've got about another 100 seats that we need to fill. Send out one of JD's, that's mine, Dickhead's SMS messages. He's very complimentary. And I would have put together a whole series of SMS messages, but let's just say one of them is, look, Chef Pierre would like to offer you a dinner for 2 of a lobster tail dinner for 2 for $68. But it's first in best dress. We've only got a certain amount of seats for that. And that goes out to, let's say, 500 or 1,000 of his many thousands of database on their mobile SMS. And guess what? She walks in 10 minutes later. He has not advertised in the paper. He has not advertised on radio. He has not sponsored the Essendon football team. He has not done any billboards. He's done nothing but just send out 500 or whatever number it is, SMS messages saying that Chef Pierre's giving you the special deal. And she comes in and says, well, booked out. 10 minutes. That's in 10 minutes. So you've just got to collect data, and then you've got to start using SMS. I know the inflection in my voice is a bit over the top, but it's so simple. And the reason I guess I have got this inflection in my voice is that from time to time, we'll have hospitality businesses come on board, and they'll say, look, how do we get a quick fix? I'll say, look, we can double the size of your business, like bang, we can take you from 50% occupancy to 100% occupancy every damn night of the week if you just collect data. And you've got no idea how hard it is to convince them to do that because, oh, it's too hard. No, it's not. It's a little bit of paper about that big. It says win a dinner for 6 at the end of the month and put your name, your email and your phone number. It's as simple as that. It's not difficult. But do you think we can convince these people to do it? It will change their business. And it will change your business. I don't care what you're in. I mean, I'm giving you a restaurant sample here. But if you get the data, particularly their mobile, okay, particularly their mobile. The other way, of course, of doing things is what I'm doing right now. And that is giving hopefully good content, hopefully you'll see it as good content, engaging rapport, because I'm asking you questions to, and by the way, if you have any questions whilst we're doing this live, just type them into the chat box below and I'll have a squiz at them, and I'll try to answer them. You know what, that's the damn trouble with this Facebook Live. You put your foot in it, you say ask some questions, and somebody asks a difficult question, you can't answer it. Let me see if there's one on there. Adriana says more leads. Yes, great content. Thank you. And Kathy Parker is watching. G'day, Kathy. Okay, so yeah, I'm glad you didn't ask a hard question, Kathy. Would have put me on the spot. Look, I'm going to make a cup of tea in a second and just move on, so I'll get out of your life. But we're going to be doing this more often. If you'd like to see more of these. Oh, by the way, before I leave you to make a cup of tea, McDonald's. This is something I put in my presentation last night on Facebook Live, which again, you can watch if you go to the Institute of Wow webpage, okay? So therefore you can watch that. And one thing that I said last night to everyone on the call, or on the Facebook Live, who thinks McDonald's is a pretty good marketer? And just about everyone put their hand up. And whenever I'm doing an event, I will say to people who thinks McDonald's is a pretty savvy marketer, they will put their hand up, understandably. And then I shocked them by saying, look, if I got the job to run McDonald's in Australia tomorrow, I would sack the marketing manager and all the advertising people within 2 seconds. And that gets people's attention because I've already admitted that McDonald's are, pretty much, I guess, recognised as a good marketer. Why would I do that? I'll tell you why. Because, well, I just love sacking, but I'll tell you why I'll do it. The reason, I just love making people cry. No, the reason I would do it is because their marketing manager at the moment is being paid. And yet McDonald's are getting 1.7 million, apparently. That's what I looked up on the net. They get about 1.7 million people a day through their restaurants in Australia. And you know what? They don't have one name or contact detail. Now, when people come to my seminar events, I'd like to think we're a bit smarter than most of the seminar people in the sense that we actually ask for registration time online for their name and for their details and what their website URL is and what sort of business they're in. Are they a florist or a butcher or baker, or are they an online marketer? And then we ask for their revenue, and we say, are you doing up to 250? Are you doing 250 to 500? Are you doing 500 to a million? And when they come to the event, we colour lanyard them based on their turnover. Now, why do you think I do that? Why do you think I do that? Because then when I'm on stage looking out in the audience, I can see who the rich people are, okay? And if I'm selling my private coaching program, which is a few $1,000s a month, it's $3,000 a month multiplied by 12. And if you're interested in that, by the way, a blatant sell, just write private below and you'll get a call with me tomorrow or the next day anyway. But if you're interested in private coaching, you know what the damage is now, so it's not going to be a surprise. And that's what I'm doing, I'm pre-qualifying you. I don't want to have a call with you if you're not going to be able to afford $3,000 a month. But basically, when you want private coaching, I take over your marketing. I become your marketing manager, and we put together a pretty comprehensive. I'm looking for one here. Here it is. I've got one handy. As a matter of fact, we put together. You've got notes all over this, but you get together a full-on marketing plan that's 30, 35, whatever pages long, and in that it's got the layouts for your website and for your Facebook ads and your Instagram ads, and it's got your Google keyword search volumes for you. Everything. It's a very comprehensive, customized marketing plan. And you get that within 10 working days of our first meeting, and then you've got access to me whenever you want, 24/7, okay? So I become your marketing manager. I think the average PA in Australia at the moment, I saw on Google, gets $54,000 a year. So if you get me at $3,000 a month multiplied by 12, that's $36,000 a year. I think you need to ask yourself if you're doing, I don't know, $400,000 or $500,000 a year turnover, and that's means that sort of private coaching program might be affordable for you. Ask yourself, do you think you get more value out of this sort of stuff than you would out of the PA for $54,000? And it's probably only 2/3 that price. So, boy, that's blowing wind up my own, you know what, isn't it? But anyway, if that's you and you're in that league of maybe doing $400,000 or $500,000 worth of turnover, well, type private below, and then we'll organise a call in the next day or two with you, and I'll tell you all about the private coaching program. But enough of my blatant selling. What I want to say to you is that McDonald's have, yes, nearly 2 million people going through their restaurant in Australia today. They have no clue who they are. If I get 100 people in my seminars, I know all about them before I walk on stage. And I've looked at their website, I've looked at their business, and depending upon the colour lanyard that they've got on, I even know what turnover they're doing. And why do I do it? Look, I'll tell you why I do it. Because these days, you cannot charge for people to come to a seminar. You just can't. Anthony Robbins is down to $97 for a seat these days. So, the Neville nobodies that fall into my category, because we're not Anthony Robbins, you can't charge for people to come to a seminar. So they're free events. And look, the last person I want in my events is a university student. Why? Because they're just going to take up oxygen and a seat. They're not going to buy into any of my programs. And therefore, look, I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm in business to put food on the table for my family. So therefore, I'm not wanting too many college students in my room. And therefore, that means is that when they identify themselves as having no money because they've got a certain colour lanyard on, I'm going to be careful how much time I'm going to let them back me up against the wall at lunchtime and ask me questions. Whereas if someone's got the right colour lanyard on, which means they're doing quite a few $100,000 in turnover, or $1 million or $2 million, then I'm going to give up lunch. I will talk to them. And that's just common sense, and it's called market segmentation. You want to be doing that with your business. You do not want to be wasting your time on cold leads. And so therefore, why am I now saying to you, look, if you've got a business doing $400,000 or $500,000 worth of turnover, you might like me as your private marketing consultant to put together your entire marketing plan and then basically run your marketing for you. And by the way, it comes with an implementation coach. So these days we have, if I'm Batman, I've got Robin next to me, who's an implementation coach who helps you implement. Because we found that even with the private coaching program, there might be a business that might be a gymnasium, or might be a butcher shop, or might be a landscaping company. They might be doing $500,000 or $1 million, and I give them all of this great stuff in the marketing plan. But unfortunately, they get caught up in the business and they don't get to implement the Facebook ads or the LinkedIn ads or the Instagrams or whatever it might be. And so now we have an implementation coach that comes with that program to help you make the rubber hit the road, okay? But yeah, back to the McDonald's thing. Can you imagine if when they actually give you that little receipt to wait for your hamburger as they're pretending to make it fresh, as they're making it fresh, then you've got a minute or two to wait. Why wouldn't they get you to write your name and mobile number on there for the chance to win a prize, okay? A year's worth of McDonald's. I'm not sure whether it would be that, but a trip to Disneyland, whatever it may be. That McDonald's, for God's sake, a trip to Disneyland. Now the thing is that if indeed they were to do that, even if they only collected 20% of those nearly 2 million people today, and they did that every day, I'll tell you what, McDonald's would have a pretty good database within a short period of time. Or if you want to go down to the modern way, get them to text something from the menu board. The fact is then, McDonald's could fill their restaurants, bang, whenever they wanted to. Because if they felt that Monday nights were slow and they've got that database, they could send that out. You know what? Current affair, this is how silly the TV networks are, and basically all the offline media are just nuts. What they're doing now is bending over and dropping their prices for you to advertise on TV. Like, for example, Channel 9, Current Affair in Sydney normally would be $19,000 for a 30-second spot. I've been around the block a few times, so you can imagine I've bought a lot of TV, I've bought a lot of radio and brochures and letterbox brochures, and now our life is pretty much online with Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn and so forth, but TV's still out there. Now, $19,000 for an ad in Current Affair with a viewing audience of whatever, let's say 1 million people, because they're not able to sell that as easy as they used to do, because this thing that you're watching me on called Facebook has come along and stolen a lot of market share, then they're bending over. And you can get $19,000 ads now for half the price if you know how to get them. I deal with what we call distressed media agents. So, by the way, that's another benefit. When you come on board to anything that we do, you get access to my Rolodex list. And one of those people on that list is a distressed media buyer. And that means that you don't pay full price for anything ever again, particularly in the offline world. Okay, so therefore, rather than doing that and dropping their pants and basically having to give up advertising sort of rates, can you imagine if Tracy Grimshaw tonight came on Current Affair and did one simple thing, just like the seafood restaurant in Melbourne I was telling you, and just said, you know what, we've got a trip to Disneyland to give away, or Hawaii, or $10,000 cash, whatever it may be. And all you need to do is text your number to, it comes up on the screen, whatever it might be, and you're in the draw. Guess what? They've just collected an instant database. And that means tomorrow night, when she has, for example, Justin Bieber on, as an interview guest, instead of spending all the money on 2UE radio and the newspapers that afternoon and all the other stuff that they do to promote, watch Current Affair tonight, we've got Justin Bieber, they could just send out to their 1 million people that they've collected the database of, and just like the restaurant, bang, have instant audience. They can do that a minute to 7. Well, I don't know when Current Affair starts, I don't watch TV anymore, but let's say it starts at 7. At 7 o'clock on the dot, they can text the entire 1 million people who they collected the phone number of and say, watch Justin Bieber being interviewed right now. Their audience would go through the roof. And all of a sudden, that would be a very practical way for offline media to fight back against online. And if you're in the widget business, then Amazon are here to get rid of you. That's why they're here, okay? They've come from outer space, they're from the planet Amazon, okay? And they're here to get rid of you. And so therefore what you've got to do is fight against that, because they were the still are, the ultimate database collectors. And even when they were selling books, and you would buy a Mills and Boon love story, because my favourite books, I bought lots of those of course, they would then send communication to you saying, well, if you've liked that love story with Fabio on the cover, you'll probably like one of these. And so therefore they had my data, and it's called behavioural marketing. You market to someone based on their behaviour, but you can't recognise their behaviour if you don't collect the data. And so this is we have a number of offline people, bricks and mortar people coming on board, and I'm saying to them, you know what, I'm going to show you how to use the online world to make a shitload of money in the offline world. And not many people do that, because you seem to have your young guns who are all about social media and online, and then you have your more mature people like me that tend to be more offline. I'm a bit different. We've mixed the two. We've actually melded all the offline experience I've had with the online experience, and we're able to put those together to have a pretty powerhouse client attraction system. Enough of me, because I do want to go and make a cup of tea. So if you're interested in hanging around with us, because here comes the blatant pitch, then you might like to do one of 3 things. If you would like to consider private coaching, which is a few $1,000s a month, as I've told you, but we take over pretty much all your marketing for you. So you wouldn't get a junior in the office for $36,000 a year. So I think it's a pretty good deal. And you have unlimited access to me. Just type private in the box below, and then we'll get Jody from my office to contact you, and we'll have a meeting on the phone. Okie dokie. And the other thing that you might like to do, if you'd like to watch one of my hour webinars, which is full of great content like this, I'm not biased. Okay, it's full of good content like this. go to, I'm looking at my computer screen to make sure I get this right, wowmysales.com, wowmysales.com, okie dokie. And let me see, what else did I want to say to you? Oh, well, if you wanted to watch last night's Facebook Live, which was absolutely gripping, then just go to my Facebook page, which is the, well, you're watching that now, anyway, the Institute of Wow, the Institute of Wow Facebook page. Okay, that's about it. Look, the only other thing, if you wanted to just ask someone in our organisation, you can't afford the private coaching, but you want to see if there's anything that might be less expensive, and yes there is. If you're a small startup business or you're a one-man band, we do have a program called the Wow Marketing Academy, and it's about a few $100s a month. Okay, so that might be something for you if you're a smaller business and you'd like to book a call to talk about the Wow Marketing Academy program. Just go to, give me a second, bookawowcall.com. I'm all wowed out, by the way, because I haven't had my cup of tea. So it's bookawowcall.com. You will not get a cornier URL than that. I'm just looking for anyone in my life. Who came up with that? Bookawowcall.com. If that's not corny, I don't know what is. I'm out of here. I've got to go and make a cup of tea. If you enjoyed this, put your link in the, put your comment. Oh, I need a cup of tea. I need something. Just put a comment below. Yes, JD, enjoyed it. And preferably if you could say something like, that was brilliant, that was fantastic, you are a marketing god, something of that nature, then that will build my ego, because, you know, I'm just feeling a bit down at the moment, not loved. So if you don't mind putting that in there. It's funny, when we did this thing last night, we had 238 comments or something, and all of them were pretty good, but there were 3 haters in there, and I won't tell you what they said. It was pretty nasty. It was pretty, get your ugly face out of my face. I don't, you know, this is bullshit. I don't know why they do that. And by the way, they had said that they had watched 45 minutes of the hour and a bit before they posted this. Why would you put yourself through the grief of 45 minutes if you hate everything that I was doing? So they're masochists. You won't find them. We've deleted them off because some of the language that they used was awful. But it was only 3 of them. So therefore, you can't be loved by everyone. I understand that. Okay, we'll leave it at that. So therefore, bookawowcall.com if you wanted to talk to myself or maybe one of my people about having a less expensive program. And if you're interested in the private coaching, which I think is probably the best value consultancy on the planet, or in the universe, all planets, then all you need to do is type private in the comments below, and Jody will ring you probably this afternoon. Oh, when I say ring, look, if you don't mind, it's entirely up to you if you want to hand out your mobile, but put your mobile in there as well, and then we can just ring you straight away, because if it's not done that way, we have to private messenger you, you've got to accept the conversation, and then we can probably meet maybe in a year's time. But if you really want to get a meeting underway pretty quickly, then either go to bookawowcall.com and then just put in there that you'd like a call, or just put private below and maybe put your mobile number. That's it, guys. Over and out. And I would thank you very much for hanging in there. There's a few that have stuck right through to the end. Well, quite a few of you. Thank you very much. All the best.